Hello and welcome to this tutorial for how to revise your essay for sentence patterns. Alright, so this video is going to be pretty short, but your process is going to be relatively long because what I need you to do is pretend that your paper is a sentence pattern worksheet. I need you to open your sentence pattern notes and I need you to check each individual sentence to see if it fits one of the sentence patterns on your notes. If you can't figure out which sentence pattern it is, that's an indication that you need to fix it. I also need you to kind of keep track, and you can actually do this on your essay if you want to by labeling each sentence pattern with either a color-coded system or putting comments on your draft. I need you to keep track of what variety you have. And if you see that you're only using S, FBSs and an occasional S semicolon S, then you need to revise for turning some of those S, FBSs into SDCs by simply trading out your fanboy for a nonsense word. Or maybe if you see that you have lots of DC, S's, you could just flip some of them around if it makes it sound better to you. So we need to revise for two things, for variety and for correctness. I have a few examples to demonstrate how we revise for correctness. So look at this first sentence with me. It says, the FBI knew that this was an invasion of our Fourth Amendment rights given to us by the Constitution, so they tried to cover it up. So according to our sentence pattern knowledge, what do we need to do with this sentence? Obviously, so is a fanboy, for and nor but or yet. So we need to add a comma right here. So part of the function of sentence patterns is to know if we have our punctuation correct. All right, let's take a look at another one. The banning and invasion of privacy to these matters necessarily have nothing to do with laws of Americans, comma, but, that is a fanboy, the opinions of those above them. So is this an S, FBS? If it was, it would have two sentences, one before and one after the fanboy. And the opinions of those above them is not a sentence by itself. So if this was your paper, you would need to delete this and delete this comma and recognize that this is just one simple sentence by itself that happens to have a list of two things that this but is connecting. Let's look at another example. When putting one's political and all moral views of the world aside, what is the problem here? Well, I hope you recognize that it starts with when, which is a nonsense word. So if you walked up to Uncle Joe and said, when putting one's political and all moral views of the world aside, he would be waiting for you to say, Americans should be worried about their own privacy being invaded while getting into others. He would be waiting for the rest of this sentence because you recognize that when is a nonsense word and that this depends on the sentence that follows. This should be a comma because this is an SDC, not two separate sentences. Okay, last example. This sentence says, without this collective good act, which is a little awkward. I think it would be better to say without this act for the collective good, it would negatively affect society and raise health concerns for everyone. Okay, so what is this? It starts with without. I would like to remind you that a rabbit can go without a log. And when we learned P, S, we learned that a rabbit can do, that a prepositional phrase is anything that a rabbit can do to a log plus a noun. And this collective good act, even though it's a little awkward, is our noun. So I would hope that if this was your paper and you were revising, you would notice that this is a P, S and that it needs a comma right here. So without further ado, open your sentence patterns, open your sentence pattern notes and open your essay, and one sentence at a time, figure out what sentence patterns you have used or what sentence patterns you should have used. This is usually a heavy hitter for students. They don't take this seriously, they don't take a long time with this, and they lose a lot of points. And I don't want that to happen to you. If you get stumped, you're welcome to email me your questions if you have a turnaround time, if you're reviewing enough time for me to get back to you, and I'll be happy to help.